On 13th of December 2001, five masked men attacked the Indian Parliament. 12 people, including the five gunmen, were killed and 22 were injured. India suspected Kashmir-based militant groups were behind the attack because just 2 months earlier, a similar assault had been carried out by the Jaish-e-Mohammed on the Kashmir State Assembly. India received credible evidence that militant groups Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed were behind the attack, prompting India to initiate Operation Parakram, the largest activation of its forces since the 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War. It took Indian Strike Corps 3 weeks to get to the international border. During that time, Pakistan was able to counter-mobilize and allow for intervening powers, the United States in particular, to become intermediaries to the conflict. As a result of Musharraf's declaration, by the time the Indian Strike Corps reached the border region, India's political justification for military action had been significantly reduced. With this, the Indian military strategists came to the conclusion that this doctrine was flawed. It was too inflexible to respond to terrorist attacks or of the other indirect challenges. Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat had come up with an idea known as integrated battle groups to counteract with these particular flawed military doctrines. Before we begin about understanding what are integrated battle groups, let me introduce to you that SSB Crack Exams is India's largest, most preferred online defense exams preparation portal. It is one-stop solution for you if you are preparing for NDA, CDS, AFCAT, INET, Territorial Army, Indian Air Force, MN Group X and Group Y. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter and Telegram and directly visit us through our website learn.ssbcrackexams.com and please download our app from Google Play Store where you can have each and every defense related information, examination related content in your hands. Now let us understand what are actually the integrated battle groups. IBGs are actually self-contained, agile, brigade-sized fighting units which were proposed in one of the 4 studies initiated by former Army Chief General Bipin Rawat on the overall restructuring of the force. This can swiftly launch attacks against adversaries. Understand that integrated battle groups are self-contained, that means they have their own equipment, they are agile, that means they are very fast and their size is of a brigade. Let us understand how are they made and what is their composition. Going on with the information, how are they made, that each battle group would be a tailor-made based on threat, terrain and task. These are known as the 3 T's to understand what is actually an integrated battle group in that particular region. One is regarding the threat. What kind of threats does that particular area pose for us? The threats in the case of the western border are different when compared to the eastern borders. On the western conflicts, we go on with the conflicts regarding the borders with the Pakistan, whereas in the eastern areas, we go on with the conflicts with the China along with the many militant groups. When we go on with the terrain, there are different terrains. It can be in Himalayan regions or it can be in a very sunny, shady regions. The resources to the integrated battle groups will also be allotted based on the above 3 different factors. What does actually do these integrated battle groups compose of and what are they actually about? Let us understand what are the advantages of these particular integrated battle groups before we understand what do they compose of. The advantage of these battle groups are that they will be able to mobilize within 12 to 48 hours based on the location. Consider that we have different battle groups. One is on the army air defense and one is on the infantry. The infantry will have a different procedure to attack the enemy territory. The army air defense will have its own strategy to attack the enemy territory based on the equipment they propose. But an integrated battle group will have both of these particular equipments. They have both the army air defense and the infantry. Along with it, if there are any other important groups that have to be included here, any regiment that has to be particularly included here, that will be included in the battle group, and each of the group will have all the different sorts of the equipments with itself, making each and every group self-reliant, more agile and more tactical. In that way, we will reduce the time of going into the attacking the enemy territory, or if it's any operation, the operation of going into the territory would be reduced from 72 hours to a whopping around 24 hours or less. It will also make the system more accessible and will be less time consuming. Integrating multiple defense systems and personnel for overwhelming output is the main reason to consider an integrated battle group. Let us understand what is the current status of the IBGs. The concept of IBGs has also been test bedded at the 9 Corps, which is there in the Indian Kashmiri territories on the western border with the Pakistan, and army is fine tuning them based on the ground feedback. They have even got the feedback from the 9 Corps on how are the operational abilities of the integrated battle groups. While the Eastern Command is yet to file a report on the IBG experiment in the Eastern Theatre, sources have said that the experiment on the Western Front has brought to light critical gaps in the operations of the IBGs. What all are the critical gaps that have to be filled up, and what all are the cases that these have to be encountered are still under important studies. Before going through understanding the different cases of the integrated battle groups, I have to tell you what are the major works in the detail that it has to be considered. What kind of military doctrine were we practicing before the IBGs, and when will these IBGs come up into the existence? We will understand this in more detail. Now let us understand what is the former doctrine known as the Cold Start Doctrine, also known as the CSD. CSD had a goal of a limited war doctrine to establish the capacity to launch a retaliatory conventional strike against Pakistan that would inflict significant harm on the Pakistani army before the international community could intercede, and at the same time pursue narrow enough aims to deny Islamabad a justification to escalate the clash to the nuclear level. How to understand this particular main sentence? Let us divide this into many different parts. Let me tell you that before going through what all the CSD are, we have to understand what was CSD intended upon. This particular doctrine was made to inflict significant harm on the Pakistani army, and this particular harm should be made before the international community could intercede. If international community intercedes, then there will be no sort of military action going to be taken off, and we will not be able to give them an answer, a befitting answer for the things that they have done to us. So it is very important to cause a significant harm if required before the international community intercedes, and also at the same time we should even pursue enough aims. We should have an aim to deny the Pakistan a justification to escalate the clash to a nuclear level. We should also have those aims to claim that the Pakistan has no sort of choice to choose a nuclear doctrine on our country. General Rawat has acknowledged the existence of this doctrine for the first time in January 2017. Before, people didn't agree that they were following this doctrine, but General Rawat has acknowledged the existence of this doctrine on January of 2017, and he even said that the integrated battle groups will replace this military doctrine very soon. Now we will understand a little bit more in detail about the story of what is actually the Cold Start Doctrine also. In its purported classical and most ambitious conception, India's limited war strategy under CSD calls for armored thrusts into Pakistani territory supported by mechanized infantry formations and air power within 48 to 72 hours at the onset of military confrontation with Islamabad. These style operations would heavily depend on close coordination between Indian Army and Indian Air Force, given the pivotal role close to air support and overwhelming conventional firepower would play in such a campaign. Consequently, to make this invasion force nimbler and easier to coordinate, a complete reorganization of Indian Army was envisioned. First, the army would strengthen its holding and pivot corps stationed along the LOC with new offensive capabilities, which include division-sized integrated battle groups consisting of artillery, armor, and aviation elements, each capable of limited offensive operations. These IBGs are central to the Indian Army's offensive military doctrine and also featured in the Indian Army's recently released land warfare doctrine. Secondly, the Indian Army would disaggregate 3 of its strike corps into division-sized IBGs and move them closer to the India-Pakistan border. One of the strike corps is also slated to be restructured into a rapid reaction cyber corps, according to media reports, reportedly capable of immediately conducting offensive operations into Pakistan in the event of a conflict. Now let us understand what are the composition of the main battle groups. Each IBG will be headed by a rank of Major General and will comprise around 5,000 troops, which is very overwhelming response that we can give in this. IBG comprises a mix Of what all divisions, it includes infantry, artillery, air defense, all the tank regiments, the logistic regiments, the unmanned aerial vehicle regiments, the engineers and the signals units, all incorporated into one particular group. Instead of we having all of these regiments separately working and then going on towards the defensive strategies, we have incorporated all of these into smaller groups known as integrated battle group, where each group will have around 5,000 troops headed by a major general. In this way, we are not only increasing the number of ranks of the major generals in the army, we are even making the army much more strategic, much more offensive and both defensive too. IBGs are to perform both offensive roles involving cross-border operations and even defensive roles to withstand an enemy attack. That we have to remember. Ending with, I would like to tell you that what is the recent news that we have seen earlier. Our General Narawane has told on 9th of May that the Indian Army has postponed the official launch of its new IBGs because of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, but the process is still on the way. Some light has already been shed on the likely number and nature of these composite fighting units. IBGs that India is now contemplating raising may be considered lighter divisions or heavier brigades. Indian Army is considering two kinds of IBGs. The smaller ones for the mountains facing China and larger ones for the plains facing Pakistan. 8 to 10 IBGs are being contemplated for use against Pakistan. Each IBG would have 4 to 6 battalions of infantry and armored units, 2 to 3 artillery regiments, an engineers unit, an integrated signals unit and dedicated integral logistics which have 8,000 to 10,000 troops. The Indian Army has been clear, however, that not every corps, division or brigade will be replaced by an integrated battle group, but the terrain, the threat perception, the options available to the enemy will be critical factors for determining whether or not an IBG will replace the present structure. That is it to understand about the integrated battle groups, friends. To get more in detail about IBGs, please go through our blog and website. Keep up the motivation high and keep the fire lit. Last and not the least, stay home, stay safe and Jai Hind.